All good things must come to an end, and here we are at the end of our Saskatchewan Stags franchise mode. What's going on, guys, and welcome to the wrap-up video for your Saskatchewan Stags. So over the last couple days, I've strictly done nothing but simulation, and it has taken me way longer than I want to admit, but here it is. You're going to see the career point totals for Sujimoto, Hiroyuki, Chubbs, Nika Solani. You're going to see all the retired players like Patrick Kane, who came so close to hitting 2,000 points in his NHL career, but it's over. It's done. We're finally done with the Saskatchewan Stags. At the end of the video, you're going to be seeing career totals and all of our wins and all of our losses. And if you're wondering, I still kept up with the Nika Solani versus Aguchi point totals. I made sure I slow simmed every single game. So if you're wondering, we did go ahead and select Dorian Alcock first overall from the Toronto Maple Leafs pick that we eventually had, and we ended up winning the Stanley Cup not too long after, which is pretty awesome. So all the assistant GMs get another Stanley Cup ring in the mail, which is always nice to see. So Taylor Hall, Brad Marchand, Jonathan Drouin, it's going to get a little bit repetitive. You're basically just going to be seeing point totals, retired players, if we won the Stanley Cup or not. So that's basically what this video is. But if you want to skip all the way to the end, you're not interested in seeing who won the cup or who had how many points, you can definitely go to the end of the video and you can just see the main player stats like Adam Boquist, all those guys, which is pretty cool. You can see we won the cup again in back-to-back years, both times beating out the Florida Panthers, which is pretty awesome. So another Stanley Cup ring coming to you guys in the mail. But honestly though, I had such a good time with the Saskatchewan Stags. It was a blast. It was something that I was kind of familiar with doing with the Seattle Storm Bears, but we went kind of a different approach with more creative players, and I think that made it way more fun. Also, shout out to Voracek. He became an absolute monster for us, a 60-point campaign. I kind of wish I had a few more weeks with NHL 19 because I'm not quite finished with the Stags. I felt like there was a lot more to record, but shout out to Steven Stamkos. Almost 2,000 points and 888 goals. Not a bad career if you ask me, not bad at all. But again, I feel like I wish I could have an extra couple weeks because you guys can see the end of Chubb's career winding down. He actually scored some clutch goals at the tail end of his career. You get to see the emergence of Jake DeBoer. He kind of took over the team, and as well with this new kid, Alcox, who was just an assist machine. You can see he had 76 helpers here, 81 points, and it only gets better. He was an assist god up until the very end of the franchise mode. And obviously, Mount Rushmore, still an absolute animal between the pipes, 45 wins. Coming up here to a very important retirement class, Connor McDavid, Patrick Laine, and Sujimoto with 1,600 points, 700 career goals. Not bad at all. Not bad for a free agency pickup. I'll take that. And you can see Aguchi wins a ton of hardware, as well as Adam Boquist won 2 more Norris trophies. That would be the last of his Norris Trophy wins, but he had 8 of them. 8 Norris Trophy wins. Can I get a thank you, Chicago, in the comments? I think out of everything with our Saskatchewan Stags, that was the most fun. Offering Chicago, I think it was a first and a third, and for some reason they didn't match it, and he just went on to be basically the best defenseman in the NHL for the last 17, 18 years. You can see here, he's 34 years old, still putting up 52 points. So one last time, thank you very much, Chicago. Thank you, Mr. Consistency. There's a huge retirement here. Oscar Gormley, he had over 1,000 goals, 1,083 career goals. Not only does he beat out Gretzky's overall single season goal record with 96, he also beats him in the grand scheme of things, so put him in the history books. You can see there 96 goals, which I don't think will ever be touched, nor will I think that Gretzky's 92 will ever be touched, but still just an insane career for Oscar Gormley. It's kind of cool that he spent his entire career with Florida as well, although I thought it would be kind of cool to see a blockbuster trade, but maybe he had really good line mates, because I don't know, I made him just as good as everyone else, but for some reason he just took it and he ran with it. 1,000 goals, what a career. Put him in the history books, absolutely. No real crazy goalies retiring here. Moving on to the next year here, we're all the way in, I think, 2036 or something. We're way in the future. You can see you've got guys like Jake DeBoer starting to take over the team. This is where the old man strength really comes in. Aguchi was 33. He had close close to 70 goals. Chubbs was 35 and he had 45 tucks on the year. So the old man strength is real. Nathan McKinnon, Philip Zadina, and Leon Draisaitl are highlighting your retirement class for this year. It was actually crazy to see all the points scored. I know in Seattle we had a ton of points scored, but this one, it was just off the charts. There was every single year, it was like 120 to 140 points every year for the leader. It was a little bit ridiculous, and it kind of got a little bit old towards the end as I'm here again still in year 2037. Iguchi has 64 goals at 35 years old. Hiroyuki's still getting up there and he's still producing almost a point per game. So it kind of got a little bit annoying to where it was like another 60 win year, another insane point total, another 60 win year, another insane point total. I mean, it's still fun, but here's Hulkenberg, Jack Eichel, Svechnikov, William Nylander played till he's 41, Vinny Zapp, Quinn Hughes. So a lot of the players that were very prominent in this franchise mode now calling it quits. This is year 2038, so we're almost at the 25-year mark. Jake DeBoer really taking over now that Hiroyuki and Iguchi are kind of sitting back a little bit. Voracek, 64 points, so again, he turned out to be awesome. And this was Chubb's last year. He went out with 21 goals, 37 years old, and you can see he does retire with agency, who had close to 1,000 goals, 984, but Chubbs, he goes out with 669 nice goals, 1,361 points. Bobby Lemieux in there as well, but Chubbs was the man. Honestly, I'm so glad that we got to hang on to him for the entire time, going from a 6th overall pick to scoring 50 goals, making $3.9 million. Absolute legend. He's up there with Agent C and Big Mac in the legend category, and you can see Adam Boqvist retires as well. So that's almost every major player. Now at the end of the video, we're going to be doing a little graphic for each individual Saskatchewan Stag, so it's not quite over yet, but you can see here Boris Yakupov, 1,500 games as a defenseman, might I add, 642 goals, only 225 assists. The guy's a freak of nature. I'll never understand why he's the way he is. And Big Germ, over 500 wins. You love to see that. Unfortunately, we couldn't make it last the entire time. In Saskatchewan, he had to go, but it was still a pretty awesome career. And here's Hiroyuki breaking the 2,000 point mark, 902 goals. Talk about Mr. Consistency with Adam Boqvist. This man was Mr. Consistency, just constantly putting up points no matter what the occasion. He retired still at an 89 overall, so he could still play, but honestly, he was so damn good. Multiple 60 goal years. Hiroyuki goes out on top. Austin Matthews, Lafreniere, we got Middlestat, Quinton Byfield, Brady Tkachuk, and Cole Perfetti. We actually had to trade Cole Perfetti pretty early on because we ran into some cap problems. Surprise, surprise. It was either him or I kept Russ Delmore, and I decided to keep the goalie. But what surprised me was Jack Hughes, 917 goals you saw there at the very top. So the guy put up some numbers, and then there's Aiden Huxley, the GOAT, who Arizona just treated like a pile of garbage. But that's a pretty damn good career for Jack Hughes. Not bad at all. Talk about a good career. Yuri Kulemin, over 1,100 goals. Elias Pettersson, Tolvanen. Now you can pause and you can look at all the individual players if you like. Here's a Gucci, over 1,000 goals as well. Now I'm waiting for one player to retire. I'm waiting for Nika Solani, but he played till he's 41. The franchise mode ended before I could even calculate his stats. So I had to go back and I had to manually calculate all of his stats, and we're gonna break it down. Let's see how many points Nika Solani had. It was a ton. Alright, so here's what everyone's waiting for. Let's break down some of the monumental players for your Saskatchewan Stags franchise mode. Nika Solani had 1,800 games played, 1,373 goals, over 1,000 assists, 2,400 points. I think Kulemin had 2,300, so Nika Solani is the most successful player in our Saskatchewan Stags franchise mode. However, he's still about 400 points short of Wayne Gretzky. Gretzky. So just to think how dominant Wayne Gretzky actually was. Obviously we didn't have injuries on, so Nika Solani played every single game and still didn't even come close to reaching Wayne Gretzky's point total. Moving on to Sugimoto, he had 1,300 games played, 702 goals, 907 assists for 1,609 points. Not a bad career, absolute legend. Talk about a legend, Mr. 8 Norris trophies, Adam Boquist, 1,123 points one last time. Thank you very much, Chicago. Now I decided to throw Big Germ in there, even though only about 250 of those wins came with our Saskatchewan Stags. He ended up winning 3 Vezina trophies in his career, almost 1,000 games played, and just shy of 100 shutouts on his career. Now once I went into the speed simulation, Iguchi really took over. He had over 1,000 goals, 1,722 games played, and then just shy of the 2,000 point mark as well. Not a bad career if you ask me. And now a personal favorite of mine, Valery Chubby Chuisov, 1,558 games played, 669 nice goals, and some of those goals were absolutely clutch. He had more assists than he had goals, 1,361 career points, absolute legend. And then capping this one off, we have Hiroyuki, who kind of didn't get the recognition I feel like he deserved. The guy finished with over 2,000 points, 900 goals. He was kind of just the guy that was on the line that got all the points, but never really got the recognition. I know it sounds weird, but I feel like we focused on Iguchi and Sugimoto a lot more, but shout out to Hiroyuki. And here it is. We finished with a total of 4 Stanley Cups. We finished with 1,306 wins, 604 losses, and 140 overtime losses. So you can go through and you can see all of the crazy years we had. I know the texts are pretty small, but we ended up making it 25 years. That's every single year we've ever done. 4 Stanley Cups, multiple Stanley Cup Finals appearances. In 2036 and 2037, we lost in the Cup Final to the Bruins back-to-back, which kind of sucked. But in 2031-32, we won the Cup back-to-back, so it's not all bad. Everyone gets their Stanley Cup rings. Honestly, man, it was a crazy ride. We had some crazy players on this team, like even the Dougie Hamilton and the Braden Shen era, all the way up to the Cole Perfetti and Iguchi era. I just want to take a second and thank everyone for watching the almost 40 episodes of this awesome franchise mode. I had an absolute blast doing this. I hope you guys did as well. I saw there was a ton more fan interaction on this franchise mode than previous ones, and I think it's because it was just fun. We just had fun with it. So I want to thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. It was so much fun to do this. We got some big things to look forward to in NHL 20. I have the game early. I have it right now. I'm just about to dive in, and we're going to get started with our NHL 20 franchise mode. I'll see you guys in about a week when I'm able to upload it. For the final time, thank you for watching your Saskatchewan Stags.